So if you're in the middle of making a big decision, then this is for you, because I got that very question today. And basically it was someone that has A and B choices and they're looking for advice. And I'm going to talk about the first part, which is going to be the safety net question that comes with I need to make a big choice here. I have no idea what to do. And then I'll come back around to my thoughts on once someone starts asking for advice on a choice. So with the safety net, if you already have a safety net, then you're okay. You just use the safety net that you have. It's already in place. But if you don't have a safety net, you need to first realize, are you the type of person that leans on safety nets? Because if you are just going to build a safety net forever. And you're never going to get anything done. But if you're not that type of person, then you can become the other type of person, which is to build the safety net at the same time that you're going after the thing that you're going after, which is fine. I think that's probably the best plan that you can possibly have is don't build the safety net and then do the thing. Do the thing while you build your safety net. And then at some point you may or may not have a safety net, or you may realize that you don't even need one. And then you have the other person, which is, you hear these stories all the time with successful people and how because they didn't have a safety net and they just jumped, they were successful because they didn't have anywhere else to go. There was nowhere to land. They didn't have any room for failure. It was die or succeed, and that's what allowed them to succeed. But that's not everybody. That's definitely either a born with it kind of person, or you have suffered so much that you have, by design, from that suffering, just come out of it as one of those kinds of people. So my thoughts on safety nets are, if you have them, then great, use it. Why not? If you don't have them, either it's built into the plan to go forward, meaning if my safety net is cash related, then if I have $0 in the bank, then I'm going to set aside 50 cents, $1, whatever it is, every chance that I get as I move forward on the goal that I've set for myself, rather than trying to build the safety net, because if I am poor, then that safety net is never going to get built. It's going to be like those construction zones in your hometown that go on for 18, 20 years and for like a mile stretch of road. So that's how I feel about the safety nets. Going back to the original question, which was, what do I do here? What's your advice? And some of the things that I came up with this was, first, you just need to take a weekend, preferably the very next one, once you start feeling like you should ask for advice, and lay those two things out, pros and cons for each one of those choices, assuming that you've narrowed them down to two. I'd say 3 would be the max. If you haven't gotten 3 or less, then you're not ready to do any of them. So basically pros and cons, and then you want to set out a full-fledged plan, not with the details on how you're going to achieve the steps within the plan, but the steps within the plan for each one of those. And you put that a year, 2 years, a good measure of what the goal actually is. So if the goal is to get a new job, that might be really easy, but it also might be something that's a far ways down the road. So if you don't have the skills that you need to do that job that you want to have, then you're going to have to learn some of those skills. But if you do have those skills and it's just kind of like a lateral move, then that's pretty easy. You can kind of figure out what you need to do with those. But for the most part, it's probably something that's going to be a year or 2 or even 5 years down the road, depending on what you're trying to go after. and your resources that you have available. So you have to take those into account with your plans for each one of your options. Is what do I want to do? What do I have to do those things? And then how long is it going to take me to do that with what I have? Because you want to plan with the assumption that you are not going to be able to buy anything new, that you're not going to meet those people, those special people that are going to propel you forward. You might, but they can't be in the plan, right? So any of those outside things, because buying things isn't going to get you there. The more you do with what you currently have to get to the goal anyway is going to build your resourcefulness. And that is so much more important than most of the skills that you're going to get as far as like a broad spectrum goes. So that was like one of the first things that I thought of, like, okay, this is how I should answer this question for this person. And then after that is, okay, now you have a plan, and then you sleep on it and you get a really good night's sleep. Not I'm still thinking about it and things like that. Just like wait till you get one of those really good night's sleep, and then once you do, you get knocked out and you wake up 6, 7, 8, whatever your regulated hours of sleep are. For me, it's somewhere anywhere from like 6 to 7 hours is about ideal. The problem is I like to go back to sleep, and then it kind of starts the sleep cycle back again, and then you wake up halfway through that one and then you're tired. But anyway, so you want a good night's sleep with that information in the back of your head, and then when you wake up and you start getting going, what's in the front of your head? Like what's top of mind? I think that's right. And whatever that thing is, your brain is essentially the YouTube algorithm doing its thing, and it's like throwing all these thumbnails in front of you. So, and it landed on, these are the 2 that are most interesting. What do you want to do? And then you go from there. And so you wake up, and what's that first thumbnail staring you in the face? And more than likely, that's the thing that you should choose to do. Now, that being said, it's pretty likely that you're going to wake up and you're going to have both of those thumbnails staring at you, and you're back to that same situation. Now, at that point, you can go through the process again, or my personal favorite is just flip a coin. And I'll explain why I think that's actually something you should do, and I'm not joking about it, even though it is kind of funny. So you're leave it up to the gods and let them decide your fate. So you choose, like you would with any other situation, flipping a coin, and you flip it, and that is the thing that you're going with. Now, before I continue that vein, whatever your decision is, whether it's you've woken up and top of mind, okay, that's the thing I'm going to do, you got to do it with commitment and without any regret for that decision, because it's never going to be the best decision, but it is always going to be the right decision, because you just need to keep making decisions and doing something, and eventually you'll get the perfect situation. So just keep making decisions, and they will be the right decisions, because you're going to learn from those decisions. And if it comes out to be one of the better decisions, then you are actually going to be propelled into more opportunities and more decisions to make. So you're just constantly making decisions. And so on that note, going back to the flipping the coin, the reason why I actually think that should be part of your decision-making process, if you're an indecisive person, is because, one, you're indecisive, but two, you really only think that you're indecisive. Because if you look back at any of your big decisions, or some of those decisions where you just started doing it and you didn't really think about it, you just did it, that's basically all of your decisions. And this is going back to the beginning. If you are asking for advice, remember that is great. And it's great because you have actually already made your decisions. And your brain is kind of like buffering as you catch up to what you've already decided to do. And that's why the flipping the coin is a good thing to add in there. Because if you wake up and you're still not moving forward, you gotta move forward. You gotta go left. You gotta go right. Just make a decision. Just do something. You gotta jump. And the coin is gonna help you decide, because 9 times out of 10, it's gonna get you the answer, if not 10 out of 10. I would argue that it is 10 out of 10, because let's say I choose heads. I flip the coin. I choose heads for the thing I'm probably leaning more into, and I flip the coin and it lands on heads. Now I have to establish rules. Am I gonna, where it lands, am I gonna put it on my, whatever that case is, but heads hits. Cool. I'm absolutely stoked. I'm happy about that. Land on heads, even though I'm frightened because I know what comes with that decision, but it's clarified, right? So you're really just looking for validation when you're asking for advice. You're not actually looking for genuine advice. It's different when you're in the situation where you're just stuck and you don't clearly see the options and you're like, I have no idea what to do. Can somebody help me? That's different. You actually do need advice because your algorithm is broken, right? It doesn't know what to do for you. It has nothing to show you. So in that case, yeah, that's different. You're definitely going to need some advice. But in this case, when you're looking at choices, you've already done the math. You've already figured it out. And so it lands on heads. That's the one you really wanted anyway. You're going to get excited and you're going to be going for it, even though you're taking that deep breath and just like, oh, Jesus, now I got to go do this thing. But you're going to go do it. You might not do it well. You might quit later, but that's a decision for another day. Right. But the point is you've decided and you're moving forward. Right. So now let's say that it landed on tails, the one that you didn't really want so much. What happens? You flip again, maybe. Some of us do. I've been there. You flip again, hoping that it's going to hit heads. Oh, no, I didn't really want that anyway. Let me flip it. Like, oh, see, it did heads. Oh, yeah, I didn't actually decide. So now you're trying to take, by asking advice, by doing the coin, by doing all these other outside things for making decisions, you're trying to take the pressure off of you actually deciding. So what you're actually doing is you're telling yourself, if you fail, it's not your fault. And it's always your fault, right? The only time that's not your fault is if like you're forced to do something, like literally like dragged across or something like that, or I don't know, what they call the movie style, like with the hypnotizing and all that, whatever. But like I'm gonna say 99.9% of the time it's your fault, right? If you fail, and faults aren't bad, so don't think about it that way either. It's like, okay, I failed, what do I do with that? Move forward again. But you're trying to push it off by asking for advice. In a way, you're also looking for validation for, I really want A, not B. And if everybody likes A, it confirms that A is the better choice. And now I feel good about that. Right. But if everybody likes B, now I'm like, well, I kind of still want A, and you still go with A anyway. right? So you've already made up your mind if you're asking for advice. And that's why the flipping the coin is something I highly recommend. Because if it lands on heads, great. That's the one I wanted. If it lands on tails, you're either going to flip again or you're just going to do A anyways. Like, so just know that if you're asking for advice, you've already made up your mind. You just need to catch up with what your mind has made up.